All right, we are going to get started today with our Monday lunch hour yoga. So as we are getting ourselves ready and settled for our class, maybe you're already down on your mat, let's bring ourselves into our Shavasana position, laying completely down on the floor, making sure that as you do so, you have given yourself a moment to check your surroundings, ensuring that our environment is both comfortable and safe, not having a bunch of stuff laying around that we could accidentally hit or trip over, and making sure too that what we're wearing, the equipment that we've got on, if you're suddenly feeling chilly, if you've got the air conditioner on, maybe you've got a blanket or a throw nearby that you can layer with as we progress through our practice. That all being said, we're beginning on our mat, relaxing, giving ourselves permission to let everything else that's going on in our life, in the world, just get put aside for the time being. We bring ourselves to the forefront of what matters, thinking both internally and externally, but only what's happening right here, right now on our mat. Becoming more aware of our breathing. Feeling that inhale fill the body, particularly the lungs, the chest. And then notice that exhale, the sense of calmness, the softness that comes with it. Let's continue to lay on our mat for another minute or so, relishing, enjoying this feeling of relaxation. Noticing how the body is settling into the floor, trying to be more attuned to the right and left sides, the hips and shoulders, becoming more level, establishing what is our neutral for the day. Then we take our next inhale, we'll reach those arms long up over the heads, wherever they can go. Maybe we need our elbows bent today, maybe our arms are on the ground, maybe not. Go ahead and play with that position as we open up through the shoulders, expanding more through the ribs, really stretching through the back, the chest, the shoulders. We'll release those arms down and give ourselves that wonderful, glorious hug as we pull the knees into the chest, holding wherever is comfortable. And then if it feels good to do, let's rock right to left, side to side. Noticing any pinching through the hips, any knots in the lower back. Maybe feeling a release in the back. When we hold our knees to chest, go ahead and roll those ankles, working through the feet. Keeping a hold of our right knee only now. We'll extend that left leg down to the mat, pulling the right knee open out towards our right shoulder, firmly pressing that left leg down into the floor, noticing any stretch that we may be feeling in that right thigh. Staying calm through the shoulders, the neck, the face. Let's draw the knee over and across the body towards that left shoulder. We don't need to move very far. Take your time here. Good. Just taking a couple of nice big breaths. We'll inhale through the middle and exhale, release that leg down. Repeating on the other leg, drawing the knee in and opening out towards that left shoulder. Firmly pressing that right leg into the mat. Noticing now how this side feels. And we'll bring that leg across towards our right shoulder. Maybe giving it a little squeeze if we're feeling any pinching, any restriction through the movement, becoming aware of that. Returning through the middle and release that leg down. Take our time bringing the feet flat onto the floor. We'll do a little bit of abdominal work as we draw fingers towards side of head. Engage your core as if you're zipping up from your pubic bone all the way into your collar. We tuck the chin slightly. As we inhale, we lift the head and shoulders. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale. Exhale, 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. And last one, inhale, up. Exhale, lower. Good. Release the hands down by our side, coming into a couple of glute bridges. Make sure our heels are in close enough to the bum first. Again, zip up through the core. Take that inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, slowly rolling down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Inhale, lifting the hips up. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, lower down. Taking our figure 4 next, we'll cross our right foot over that left knee. Now we don't want to push this too much. Rather, at the beginning of our practice, let's explore rather than fixating on fixing anything truly. As we cross that ankle over, we may have noticed that our body shifted or tilted. I want us to try to level off the hips, both right and left sides, feeling very level. In the sense that if we had a contractor's ruler with that yellow floating bubble in the middle, pressing the ruler against the pelvis, both right and left hip bones, the yellow ruler should be fairly even. It should show that we're balanced. And the whole time we've been holding this, maybe we push the knee away. There's a little bit of feeling here as we open up through that right hip. And we'll release that, making sure that we're neutral through the back still as we cross that left ankle over. And again, just notice right away if you fell or if you twisted or tilted. And let's see if we can work towards establishing a strong neutral pelvis and spine. Thinking about that contractor's ruler, keeping the pelvis as level as our body allows today, making this a focus. Maybe we push that knee open, triggering a bit of response from that left hip or those outer thigh muscles. We can release that slowly now. Taking the arms out to the side, little windshield wipers of the knees and the hips, rocking right to left, noticing how that feels through that back and hip junction. And then on your next one, let's roll all the way over into a baby pose on your side, where we'll push ourselves up into tabletop, taking ourselves over onto hands and knees when you're ready. And with ourselves on hands and knees, flat backs, bellies in, we'll prepare for cats and cows. Inhale, untucking the tailbone. Let's reach the head tall. And exhale, draw the tailbone down, the belly's in, the chin to the chest. Inhale, open. Exhale, see if we can really articulate all the way from tailbone through crown of head as we do just one more, rounding up with your exhale. And pressing back into child's pose, sitting as low into those hips with your bum down towards your heels. If you're able to, listen to your knees, your back. And same with our shoulders as we extend them forward and try to drop through the head. Let's take a few deep breaths as we check back in with our space, check in with our breathing. Notice if our mind has been wandering, not judging ourselves harshly, rather noticing if we need an intention, a mantra, or for me, it's always my breath. If I notice my mind wandering more than usual, I really focus on my breathing technique. Let's come all the way up into tabletop, finding ourselves in runner's lunge. Sweep your right foot all the way forward, helping that foot get there. Now, right away, if you notice that the pressure with your left knee on the ground is a little bit uncomfortable today, you can double up your mat. I've just folded it over, or you can always have a blanket or a pillow nearby. Now, assuming that we're okay on the knee, let's bring the top knee right above ankle as we lift a little bit higher through the chest. Perhaps you're leaving your fingers on the ground today. Otherwise, let's bring them up to the thigh. The third option would be heart center. And then that fourth option would be held high up above the head. Let's roll the shoulders down, zip up from pubic bone, right through collar. Notice as we hold if we'd like to close our eyes or find a spot to look forward. And if we can feel a stretch coming through that left hip, right down the thigh, opening up these tight muscles that run across the front of our hip and can cause us some back pain if we're sitting a lot. Now we'll take our last inhale, exhale, release, sweep that leg back and switch legs, bringing your other foot, our left foot forward. Maybe this right knee is extra sensitive on the ground and you need to double up or find some padding. Take your time doing these adjustments, deciding if we'd like to stay with our hands on the ground or moving through different hand options. And when we find that position, let's roll the shoulders down, lengthen the neck, and reach the pelvis forward just a little bit. Reaching it forward without letting your belly come onto the thigh. So still keeping your belly muscles pulled in to really help open up that hip flexor. Take a couple big breaths. Feels so good, doesn't it? One more big inhale. Exhale, sweep those hands down, drawing the knee back, resting in child's pose. Whether it's a wide knee or legs tight together, if you need to have your hands closer into the body or if we're able to extend them long, noticing what your body's responding to, what feels good. From here, we'll do our flow series. If you'd rather just rest, though, if your sole purpose of joining yoga today was to take a break from your day and rest, and you'd rather not do more work like push-ups, please choose to stay here instead. Otherwise, joining me for 3 modified flow series. Inhaling forward into a kneeling plank. Exhale, hover above the mat. Inhale, press straight up into kneeling plank. Exhale, push back into child's pose. Inhaling forward. Exhale, hover. Inhale, press straight up. Exhale, push back, bellies stapled to backs. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower, elbows brushing ribs. Inhale, press straight up. And exhale, push back. Now, regardless of what we just did, let's all join together in our next runner's lunge. Coming forward through tabletop. Stepping your right foot up between your hands, again, helping if you need to. Provide padding to that left knee if necessary. And this time we're doing a twisted lunge. We'll keep that left hand beside your foot. And I have slightly shorter arms than I'm comfortable with this pose. So I actually make a fist to give just that extra little bit of length a couple inches anyways. This is when most people would have a yoga block. I just don't have one handy. So if you have a yoga block, you can put your hand on it, and then we'll lift that right arm up to the ceiling. We're looking over our front right knee, trying to keep those hips level, still reaching into that left hip. Now, if anyone's shoulder is bothering them, lifting the right arm up, let's take it into back pocket instead. Noticing any stretch we might be feeling through the outside of our right hip or through the left hip flexor. Let's take one more big inhale and exhale, release. Careful as we switch legs, transitioning through tabletop, stepping that left foot up when you're ready. Happy with the position of your left foot, the comfort of your right knee. We'll take our right hand either flat beside the left foot or like me making a fist, keeping my wrist long and neutral. And then we rotate, opening up that left arm. Now you can look up to the hand if that bothers anyone's neck. You can look forward or down to your hand. Keep that knee stacked right above ankle as we rotate open, twisting, opening, lengthening. Taking one more inhale and exhale, release. Sweeping that leg back. And again, let's rest into child's pose. Let's check in with our breathing, our focus, our body's response to the stretching. Staying in child's pose or joining me in downward facing dog. Curling the toes and lifting those hips up nice and high. Now, I always like when I first enter down dog to pedal the feet, walking the dog in place, working through the toes, the arches, the calf muscles, maybe playing with some ankle rolls, some hip wiggles. From here, you can choose to stay in down dog, or if you're in child's pose, or join me in another flow series. Inhaling forward into plank. Exhale, chaturanga, lowering the body completely to the mat this time, and lifting up with an inhale to cobra. Exhale, pressing back, down dog or child's pose, which you can do 2 more times with me if you wish. Inhaling forward into plank. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, pressing back, down dog or child. Last time. Inhale forward. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, pressing back. Oh, it feels good to work through the entire body. And if we chose to rest, I hope that you truly enjoyed that break. Now let's walk our hands and feet together. Coming halfway up into monkey. Hands pressing against shins or thighs. Back nice and flat. Now notice how much you want to bend your knees today in order to make this back as flat and strong as a table. Slowly softening those knees. Inhale, reverse swan dive with tall. And exhale, release. Take a couple shoulder rolls. And at this point, if you would like to switch your camera angle, grab a drink, please do so. We're going to do a few exercises in the upright standing position. Let's first establish Tadasana. Rolling those shoulders down. Feet are about hips width distance apart. Let's notice all 4 corners of our feet. So we've got big toe, fanning through all the way to the little toe, really seeing about increasing our base of support, coming out to the outer edges of our heels, and then through the inner edge of the heel, it's like we're lifting up the arches, engaging the inner thighs, rolling those shoulders down now, standing so tall. Let's take a moment, maybe closing our eyes, a couple big breaths. Preparing for our lateral extension or side bend. We'll inhale, lift both arms up tall above our head. Now let that left arm fall as we reach the right hand even taller. I like to push my weight into my right foot just a little bit more, exaggerate that stretch up that right side. Reach as tall as you can. Inhale, left arm comes tall. Now on the exhale, we lower that right arm. Focus all of that energy on increasing that left side's extension. Inhale, lift up. Now soften the knees. Exhale, forward fold. Swan dive, hinging from the hips. As soon as you feel that stretch, we stop. Maybe today your hands are staying up on your hips, your thighs, your shins, your feet. Personally, I'm enjoying the floor. And I'll turn to the side for a moment, because what I want us to really focus on when we're doing a forward fold is not necessarily how low we can get, but how high can we imagine reaching our tailbone, maintaining a relatively flat back. Now you can always drop your head more, relax your shoulders, but see if from our hips we can really straighten out those backs. 2 more breaths. Softening those knees, come up halfway to monkey. Correct your posture, pull the bellies in, squeeze the shoulder blades. If we've done a lot of sitting today, perhaps we were rounding in the upper backs or we were slouching through the lower backs. Maybe not, maybe that's not our posture that we assume. However, let's really use this time to draw awareness to those postural muscles. Now we'll soften those knees. Inhale, reverse swan dive, lift tall. And exhale, release. Again, go ahead and take a few shoulder rolls if you need to. Grab another drink whenever you need it, especially when the weather's a little bit more humid. We'll be coming into a warrior one next, taking our time as we enter the position. Right foot forward, left foot down on the ground. Feet are roughly hips width distance apart, perhaps slightly narrower. Taking a short stance today, not too much space between feet. Hips are level, remember that contractor's bubble. Bending into the right knee, pressing away from the entire left foot. The arms today, I want us to do a chest expansion. We either hold the arms behind us like we're holding onto a big beach ball or Pilates ball, or if you're able to, you'll interlace them and open the chest. Lifting, turning gaze upwards. Bending into that right knee a little bit more as we push that left foot down deep, firmly into the floor. Trying to continue drawing those arms back as we open and expand across our chest. Belly so tight, stapled to our back. Inhale, taking our last breath in, and exhale, release the arms. Maintain the legs, but straighten them out. Softness in both knees. Hands to hips, coming into pyramid. We hinge forward. My favorite hamstring stretch, because we are in absolute control. Keeping those hips level, the yellow bubble centered on our lower backs. Back is flat, just like we practiced in forward fold. And then with each exhale, we're noticing the lengthening. Maybe we wander, maybe not, maybe we're staying a little bit more reserved today. Remember, every single time we take ourselves into a position in a new practice, we come into it with an open mindset. We're allowing a new opportunity, a new experience every time we come into yoga. Amazing. Enjoying the stretch of that right hamstring. Now from here, we're slowly softening the knee, walking ourselves up, and we'll switch legs, repeating that warrior one pyramid stretch on the other side. The left foot is now planted forward. The right foot steps back. Now, contractors lift. Sometimes when we tip our hips, trying to find our footing. So keeping this straight as we bend forward into our left knee. Both feet are completely flat on the floor, spreading through the toes. Hands come behind us, either holding the ball or interlacing together. Let's open the chest. Turn our gaze upwards if that's comfortable. Bend into that left knee. Let's see if we can trigger a calf response. Maybe a right hip response. Enjoying warrior one. Deep, deep breath. Expanding through the front of chest for one more inhale. And exhale, release those hands. Straightening out the legs, holding onto those hips. Let's hinge forward. Lovely flat backs. As soon as you feel a stretch, oh, my muscle just talked to me. I'm going to stop right here. Noticing that our legs are not necessarily symmetrical. And if we can listen, they will talk loud enough and tell us what they need. And if we can keep that sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight, at bay, we're able to operate primarily with our parasympathetic nervous system, which encourages the release of those slow, calming, relaxing, repairing chemicals throughout the body, allowing for this lovely release and lengthening. Let's continue to encourage our parasympathetic nervous system by taking those deep, intentional, slow breaths. On our next exhale, we'll begin to soften that knee. Feels so good as we walk up the leg. Take our time and come together. From here, let's find our mountain pose again. Roll those shoulders down, preparing to repeat our forward fold. Inhale, lifting those arms up nice and tall. Exhale, swan dive, hinging from our hips. And enjoy this forward fold stretch. This time you may find that you're able to get down a little bit lower. Maybe that's not your objective today and that's not a priority. Noticing where the hands are, how this feels on the legs, on the back. And then if you wish, you can add a shake of the head no. Loosening the head, front shoulders, and nod the head yes. Finish on a positive. From here, slow the movement of the head, soften the knees, and engage the core as we find halfway position here, monkey pose. Hold the shoulder blades in. Contractors, ruler is positioned across the shoulder blades now, and we're noticing that we're feeling very level. Move the ruler down just on top of your back, right above your tailbone, and that should also feel quite level. We'll soften the knees. Inhale, lift nice and tall. And exhale. Roll the shoulders again if you need to. Preparing for a couple of balance positions in the upright pose. If you feel like you'd rather do balancing against a wall, table, ledge, or you could even bring a chair. If you have a chair handy, you could position yourself so that you're actually sitting in the chair for both of these exercises. We're going to do eagle first. We'll do eagle on the right and then the left, followed by figure four on the right and then on the left. So if you'd rather do these positions seated, go ahead and grab that chair now. Otherwise, maybe just move yourself next to a wall. And if that's not an issue for you today, then we stand in our position here, preparing in Tadasana. Taking that right foot, we lift the leg up, cross it so that the thigh is on top of left thigh. As we begin to sit down in that chair, we're going to hug the thighs together, perhaps anchor the foot around the left leg, or position the toe on the ground like a kickstand. Now, depending on where you put the foot, you may be able to sit down lower in your chair. If you're already sitting in a chair, have the leg across and notice how it feels to try to squeeze the thighs together. Now, all together, we lift the arms up. We'll cross the right arm over. Take that left arm on top. Give yourself a hug. Maybe this is where we stop. Otherwise, we lift the hands, knuckle to knuckle, or palm to palm, and raise the arms directly in front of our third eye. Noticing an immense stretch through our shoulders, upper back. We're expanding the shoulders. And then as we continue to sit low and squeeze those thighs, we're creating so much tension It's said to be good for aiding in things like digestion because we're drawing so much energy and blood pressure and blood flow to our organs right now, squeezing all the blood out of our legs and shoulders. Feeling an intense rise in blood pressure, perhaps, very normal. We'll take one more inhale here and exhale, release, release, release. Shake, shake, shake. I know I always feel a huge influx in pressure. You can hear that in my breathing. We'll do that on the other side. If we're seated, start with a blank canvas. And if we're standing tall, feel equal distribution through both feet. Taking that left leg up now, we cross thigh over thigh. Ooh, balance. Try to sit down a little bit lower, and then decide if you'd like to keep your foot on the floor like a bicycle's kickstand, or trying to anchor it around that right calf. Keeping hips and shoulders facing forward as best we can. Arms are out. This time the left arm comes over, right arm on top. Give yourself a giant hug. And then if you're able to, we can take palm to palm and lift those arms up. Focus on that breathing. If the balance is allowing us to really create tension here, thinking about squeezing those hands together, squeezing our arms, sitting lower, squeezing those thighs, creating so much energy. A couple more big breaths. Last big inhale. And exhale, release, release, release. One final balance position. This will be like it will be our figure four, like what we did in warm up. However, now we may be getting a little bit deeper. If your legs feel like jello, like mine do, encourage some blood flow, maybe a little ankle roll. Taking that right foot, lift it up off the ground. Find that we are able to transfer the weight into the left leg. We cross the ankle over that left thigh, and see how I just wrote the number 4 with my legs. Now we sit down. We can sit, reaching our arms forward. Some people prefer heart center or even out to the side. Make sure wherever we are in the chair, seated or standing nice and tall here, that we're trying to keep hips level like we've been really establishing and working towards today, and that we're holding our upper body proudly. Big deep breaths, focusing on that right hip. Almost there. On your inhale, stand up tall. Exhale, release. Shake, shake, shake. Preparing for our final balance. Taking that left foot up, we've transferred the weight into the right, cross the ankle over, establish a figure 4. Probably looks backwards to you now. And then we'll sit down. I like to flex my foot. To me, that gives a lot more. If I point my foot, I get just a little bit more out of it. If I flex, you can play with the position of that as well. Oh, sit down. Choosing to have your arms high, heart center, or open. Maybe you've even chosen to guide yourself, right? Maybe we need to help the leg and you're guiding it. That's okay. Couple more breaths. Big inhale, lift up. And exhale, release. Shake, shake, shake. Amazing. Now, as we're standing here, soft knees, strong foundation. Again, let's revisit all 4 corners. We're going to release our neck. Let's drop that right ear towards right shoulder. Then we can push the left hand away. At this point, I really like to close my eyes, but if you struggle with closing your eyes and maintaining upright balance, please feel free to keep them open. On our inhale, lifting the head up. Exhale, left ear. And if you want to, you can push your right arm away. Again, I'm going to close my eyes. Internalize my focus. I'm imagining my heart contracting and releasing. I'm imagining the blood coming through the body, all the way down to my toes. Inhale, coming up to the middle. Taking now our head and look over to the right. Into the middle, over to the left. Again, to the middle, to the right. Inhale, middle. Left, exhale. Inhale, middle, one more each way. Exhale, right. Inhale, middle. Exhale, left. And release. Good. Couple shoulder rolls. Now, if you need another drink of water, please do so now. We're going to be returning down to the floor, and we can do that together. So I'll invite you to change your cameras if you need to. And then return to your top of mat so that we can journey down to our mats together, finding a seated position. We'll be inhaling, lifting hands up above head to prayer. Now exhale, swan dive, hinging from our hips through forward fold, down to tabletop, sweeping around with the legs coming out in front. Now with the legs out in front, we're going to tuck them over to the side if that's an option. If your knees permit, let's draw the feet over to the right. If they don't, please keep them out forward, and that would be called staff position. Holding onto your ankles if that's an option, otherwise just hand down by our side. Let's take that left arm into our mermaid stretch. Big inhale, lift up, and exhale, release, holding it here. Trying to keep your shoulder away from your ear, really pushing that left hip down to the ground. Remember, you can always remove the arm from the story if you need to. Take it down instead. Feel that extension down that left side of body. Now inhale, lift up. You can either tuck your feet under or sweep them around. If they're staying in the staff position, you'll be switching your arm now, taking that left arm down. Inhale, lifting the right arm tall. And now everyone exhale, open up. So think less about bending to the left and more about opening that right side. Amazing. Inhale, lifting up. And now exhale, let's release those legs. I'll ask that we try to find a butterfly position. And in butterfly, if we can press the soles of the feet together, if it bothers your knees at all, try not to bring your feet in as close. It's okay to keep them farther away. You can also sit really tall, staying here, trying to press your knees down. Otherwise, you can join me in hinging, whether you keep your elbows tucked in, or I like to use them to prop my knees down a little bit farther. And then if it's okay with your neck, go ahead and drop the chin to the chest. Slowly rolling up, helping those knees together, and then sitting comfortably, whether that's legs out front or crisscross like I've chosen. Our final stretch before we take a seated meditation, and you could always lay down if you chose to, is going to be forearms. I'll take my hands and expose the wrists or the palms forward, drawing the fingers down, spreading them out as far as they'll go as I press my heels into the ground. And depending on how tight these wrist flexor muscles are for you or how tender or sensitive they are, that will guide how far you expose these wrists. Keep your elbows relatively soft and release that. We'll turn the hands over. So fingernails are ring side down, trying to press the knuckles and then the heels towards the floor. Stretching through the extensor is often not as much of an issue for us, especially if we're used to typing all day. But anyone using a backhand strength like tennis or golf will absolutely want to keep working through this. Now release that, go ahead and roll through the wrists. And now, as I mentioned, our final stage of our class will be our final relaxation, which we'll do for just a minute or so. I'm going to stay seated. You can venture down into Shavasana if you'd prefer, or remain seated. Finding a comfortable position, trying to close our eyes. And now let's become more attuned, more focused on our breathing once more. We're noticing the softness through the shoulders. We've relaxed our abdominal muscles, feeling perhaps a softness through the belly, more expansive as we inhale. And feeling like the weight is literally melting off our shoulders as we breathe out. However much stress, worry, responsibility we may carry throughout the day, for the next few seconds, let that all fade away, unload it. Let us share in those burdens together, knowing that whatever is important will get done. However, right now we need to take care of ourselves. We take that big inhale and we exhale, drawing in the positive energy and expelling the negative, preparing ourselves for what's yet to come, and priding ourselves in what we've just accomplished. A wonderful mind-body experience, putting our body's needs, our mental health, and our emotional well-being to the forefront for just a moment. Now we can start to wiggle our fingers and toes. If you were laying down, bringing yourself back upright into that seated position. And if we're seated, let's all together start fluttering open through those eyes. And we will prepare to say our final goodbye together. Taking that big inhale, reaching those arms up above head to prayer. Exhaling down through heart center. Namaste. Thank you very much, everybody. It was a pleasure to see you, and I hope you enjoy your week. I look forward to seeing you again next week.